These are gonna sell out. You need to grab one fast. We've all clicked on a video or two and seen that type of intro, right? Well, that is done obviously by design. It's to make you get FOMO, or fear of missing out, so that you hurry up and make the purchase. Now, I am not going to say I'm not guilty of it. I'm sure I've pulled something like that in the past. Many times it's not even really intentional. We just get really excited about a product and we just want to make sure everybody knows about it and makes their decision. However, it could lead into some serious influencing into purchasing items we don't want to buy. So how do we fight against that? I'm going to outline 8 different steps that you can take to basically safeguard yourself from making a bad purchase, and if you did make the purchase, what you can do about it. Quick story, I had just made a video at the beginning of the year saying that I was not going to be buying as many things. I wasn't going to worry so much about new drops, the whole 9 yards, right? You can go back and watch the video. And then Blogilates, I don't know if you're familiar with that, she released a whole drop of clothing items from Target. Well, what I did was I watched one of my favorite influencers and she went in store. She tried all the stuff on. She said it was so cute and she loved it. Next thing I know, I rabbit holed and I'm on my Target app and I am literally putting like $300 worth of stuff in my cart. And I was using the excuse of I'm going to do a haul and see if I really need the items. Well, guess what? I decided, hold on a second, I just said I wasn't going to do this anymore. So what can I do to stop myself from feeling this way and hitting add to cart? The first thing that I'm going to talk about is actually where you got the information from in the first place. It's very important. So what I like to ask myself is, do I really like the item that's being talked about, or do I like the salesperson? There have been very many times that I have decided that I wanted to purchase an item mostly to support that person or because I like them and they're charismatic. It wasn't even so much that I needed the item. And I will be honest, 9 times out of 10, I really didn't need the item. There are a few exceptions, but for the most part, a lot of those items were really not something I wanted. I just got excited about the salesperson. So what can we do? We can look for hints. We can hear things like, I love this at its price point, or I think it would be cute if it did this. Or something that I even do personally in a lot of my try-ons is you can really pay attention to the person and what they're saying while they're trying the items on. For example, I go into the store more often than not now, and it's for a whole host of reasons, but one of the reasons is because I don't want to wastefully spend things, get them in my house. So you can pay attention to the influencer that's doing that, and you can listen for clues like, oh, this may be cute, but it's not for me, or listen for their things about what is going to fit on body type, or also clues like this is coming home with me, or I'm making this purchase, and then maybe like see if they follow up on it later. So it's really about listening to who is influencing you and seeing if they're really using the items or if they're just sort of modeling them for you and saying, are they worth it or not, or only if you need it. Those can really be helpful. Next up, I like to look at real reviews. So what I did, for example, with the whole Blogilates drop in January, was I decided to wait on it for a couple of days. Then I went back to Target and I started looking at the non-incentivized reviews. And guess what? They weren't all that great. A lot of them were saying that the stretchy pants rolled down on them, that the quality didn't feel great, maybe it didn't feel great on their skin. So non-incentivized reviews can really go a long way. Number 3, look in your closet. This is a big one, and I've really taken this one to heart in the last couple of years. What I like to do is I like to go into my closet, or if it's like a beauty item, I go into my beauty space, and this is what I do. Believe it or not, I am influenced by beauty products a lot more than clothing. So for example, when I'm watching a video and I see a new release about lip products, whether it be lip gloss, lipstick, you name it, lip balm, I actually go into my vanity and I look at everything that I have. Clearly, I do not need one more thing in my life. This is a pretty extensive collection for your average person. I have way too much of everything and I do not need it. So when I do this,
I actually help myself because if I'm looking at, say, a very beautiful darker shaded lipstick, then I come in here and I go, oh, wow, this one's darker, and I grab what's darker. And then I start swatching and realize that I can mix and match and probably make something very similar to what I am wanting at the moment. This also runs true with your closet. The one important point I have to make here, though, when you are going to go into, say, your vanity or your closet to research something, it's important to know what you have and keep everything in similar spots. You really need to be a little bit organized, because if you're the type of person that keeps, half of your items somewhere in a completely different spot, you are going to forget about them and think that you need something that you don't actually need.
Number 4 is a big one. This is called dressing for your fantasy self. We have all done it. You start to see an item and then you envision yourself wearing it as you're walking across the beach and taking family pictures, when in reality, this is your life and you spend most of your time here. I have definitely been guilty of this, especially when I have done try on hauls. I put something on, I get a lot of compliments around my family members in the house, and I think, oh, I could definitely use this. I'm gonna put it in my closet for an upcoming event. Guess what? I usually don't have events to go to. Or it may look pretty on, but the more I try to wear it, the more I feel like it's cosplay or it's just me wearing somebody else's items and I don't feel like me in them. So I really urge against the fantasy self versus real self. Do you really need 9 event dresses when you maybe go to a wedding once every 2 years, or you don't go to fundraisers ever? Well, you're not going to need those specialty shoes for those black tie events if you don't go to black tie events. Gonna want to get into the store if possible. Again, I'm going to go back to the Blogilates thing. Once I had done the first couple of steps and still hadn't set purchase on my app, I actually looked to see which of my local Targets had the Blogilates clothing line. And I, needed to go to Target anyway to buy some groceries. So I thought, oh, perfect. I'm gonna head in there and I'm actually gonna get my hands on these items. And guess what? I did not like them. They just weren't for me. I'm not saying they were bad items. I'm saying they just weren't for me. I was not going to wear a tulle mini skirt to go on an outdoor walk with my dog. It's just not going to happen. Number 6 works really well, especially if you're primarily online shopping or if the item is only available online. You can add it to cart, but wait a minimum of 24 hours before you purchase it. Now, this can go one of two ways. Several times, I will admit, there have been items that have sold out before I got to purchase them. But then I thought to myself, well, if it was really meant to be, then maybe there's going to be a restock, or I might find a similar or like item. But I will say that most of the time the item still is available. And after that kind of dopamine hit calms down, after I've sat on it for about 24 hours, I can actually just leave it in my cart for longer and longer. And then I realize I didn't really need the item in the first place. So it does help if you want to add it to cart, because that kind of gives you the dopamine hit, but just don't click buy for a minimum of 24 hours. Number 7 is kind of a big one. You want to read about the shipping fees and the return policy and return shipping fees. That alone sometimes stops me from making purchases. Sometimes I catch myself wanting to buy an item, but maybe I have to pay $8 to $10 in shipping for it. Well, then once I build that into the cost of the item, I quickly realize I don't really want to spend that much on it, and that will stop me in its tracks. Other times, I will look at the return item, especially if it's an online only item. I will look at it and go, oh my gosh, like I only have 15 days and it's only for store credit. Well, do I love this store enough to have store credit floating around? That type of stuff really can sway me from where and when and what I'm going to purchase. All right, so you've done all these steps, or maybe you haven't done any of them, and then you get to number 8. You bought it. Now what? What I suggest is that you keep it in a place that's very, very visible. That could be something like this. That could also be just a very visible spot in your closet or on your dresser. For my examples, I just have this for videos. So I bought these a few weeks ago. What I do is I immediately hang them up in some very visible spot that I see every day, and I keep the tags on them. I also recently bought some shoes from Nordstrom, so I'm doing the same thing with those here. The next thing is you want to make sure
you keep the receipts in a spot that you know where you can get them. So I have my Target receipt here, and you also want to keep bags. That's just really helpful. So it doesn't have to be out like this, but I just have mine out here. So my Nordstrom purchases came in this bag and the receipts stay in them. Why I love to do this is because I walk by this every single day, and it really shows me if I like this item or not and how quickly I'm going to grab it and incorporate it into my wardrobe. As you can see, I did a Target haul a few weeks back and I still have not reached for these tank tops. I thought I would wear them immediately and I still haven't. So now I'm deciding, do I wait till spring and try to wear them, or do I return them and just hope for the best if I want them again? So those are some things to think about. You also want to make sure you have the return window well stated and you have any kind of bags if they are for shipping too. If it's an in-season item and you still haven't reached for it and the return window is coming to a close, I would really suggest thinking about returning the item. It may not be worth keeping because it's just a huge clue that you really didn't need it in the first place. Adding on to those tips, you're definitely going to want to try it on again once you get home. I like to personally pick a day where I'm feeling okay, and then I put the item on and then I go straight into my closet and I try to make a minimum of 3 outfits with that item. So if it's a top, it needs to work with 3 sets of bottoms and it needs to work with shoes that I already have going on. And the only way I would keep it otherwise is if I know I love it, I know I'm going to wear it with most of those things, but maybe it exposes another hole in my wardrobe. Like maybe I don't have a particular style of shoe that would be super helpful that I know I could reuse. You know, you're just gonna have to use your own discretion in that way. And I'm also going to take it one step further. You're going to want to either show some trusted family members or friends what it looks like and get their honest opinion without getting your feelings hurt. Or if you don't have that available to you, maybe just set your phone up and hit record and walk around in the outfit. It's really, really telling when you go back and look at a video and go, oh, I didn't know it looked like that from the back. Or, you know, maybe they're a little too short and they look awkward with my shoes. That type of thing. It can really be super helpful. So for example, something that I have done is I did a video on some Spanx pants the other, probably about 3-4 weeks ago. But they are literally hanging over the tips of my shoes, and that was the look I was going for. Loved the pants, thought they were going to be awesome staples in my closet, at least 2 of the pair. However, when I walked out into my living room with those pants and showed my husband, and then separately showed my other family members, all 3 of them had the same reactions. They all said, those aren't that great on you really in real life. And they just kind of look odd. Maybe you could do like a better style or a better size. So unfortunately, I sent all of the Spanx pants back. And in my mind, I thought that I had really found it. But once I really listened to what they said, and then I went back and looked at some video, I thought, oh my gosh, they were right. I was really excited about those pants, especially because of how comfortable they were, but they weren't realistic for me. And I really do have more pants that are more flattering. All right, so you did it. Let's hope that you made it through all of these steps and then you purchased or you didn't purchase the item. So congratulations. If you purchased it and you followed all of these steps, hopefully it's something that you really are going to find some longevity in and it really was worth your money. And then if you decided not to purchase it, well, that could be even better because you saved money and now you know what's in your wardrobe or in your beauty space and what you really need and don't need looking forward. I hope this video was helpful to you. Leave me a comment below. Are there any safeguards that you put into place to really help you from spending on items that you may or may not need? We'd love to know what your tips and tricks are too. So please leave those comments in the comment section below. Again, hit like and subscribe before you go. And until next time, I'll see you soon.